Ура! Я вас вижу. Ага, хорошо. Я тогда да, на русском пару слов, да? Да, хорошо, все, договорились. Я отключаю микрофон. Всё. Да, мгм, хорошо, спасибо.
As from back
Совершенно
here,
right.
everything is okay. Hear you?
Yes. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Do you hear me well?
Hello, I'm here. Can you hear me? Mm-hmm.
Hi. Hello, it's nice to hear you. Yes, yes. I think it's me. Good afternoon, everyone.
We're here. Yep. Yes, yep. Thanks very much, Artem. We're all here.
Hello, I'm here.
Closing this thing. If it comes, I'll just click the X. I'll sit here anyway. We're not, you know.
All right, clock is ticking, just a couple of seconds to go. And it's officially 5 o'clock p.m. Vladivostok time, so I would like to officially start our event. So I'd like to welcome you to the Telebridged International Competition Modern Model of Tourism Development, East and West. It's an annual event, and we are very honored to have you here as a participants, as our guests, as our judges. So once again, thank you for joining, and let's hope it's going to be a great event. And for the opening speech, I would like to invite our very special guest, who is the Deputy Director of Tourist Information Center here in Vladivostok, Koptseva Maria. So welcome.
Thank you. В первую очередь я хочу поприветствовать всех участников и организаторов от имени Туристско-информационного центра и администрации Приморского края.
So first of all, I would like to greet all the participants, everyone involved in this competition on behalf of Tourist Information Center and on behalf of the government of Primorsky territory.
Я хочу пожелать всем участникам в сегодняшнем международном конкурсе удачи. Я уверена, что все работы очень интересны, и задача у жюри, у организаторов сегодня будет достаточно серьезная, интересная и, можно сказать, тяжелая.
So first of all, I would like to wish good luck to all the participants. And of course, I'm confident that all the works that are going to be presented on the competition will be of the highest quality, and it's going to present a difficult job for judges to come up with the conclusion. But it's going to be an interesting job as well.
Да, я надеюсь, что те задачи, которые ставили организаторы перед участниками, обязательно будут выполнены. И всем ребятам, участникам огромного успеха.
All right, and I hope that all the tasks which were set for the competition, for the event, will be completed, will be accomplished. And once again, I would like to wish all the best luck and all the best to the participants and to everyone involved in the conference. So thanks a lot, Maria. Great to see you, and thanks a lot for your help with the event. And I guess we are now officially ready for business, ready to start the event. So once again, it's the annual event for us here. This year we have 4 different sections, and we're gonna have presentations in all of those sections. So just very briefly, I will just name those sections one by one for everyone to just get familiarized with this. So we're going to talk about information technologies in tourism. Then we're going to talk about international youth tourism, new forms and prospects for development. And then we're going to talk about tourism support policies. And then we're going to talk about virtual tour around my city. Once again, we're hoping to have some fruitful conversation. We're hoping to get some interesting results, to have some nice presentations. And I would also like to introduce the judges for competition. So once again, it's going to be a 2-day event, but judges going to stay the same. And first of all, I would like to introduce Mark Cobb, who you can see on your screen. So he's going to be he's an author, lecturer, retired pilot, businessman, diplomat, former and future world traveler. So he's going to be here from the United States, all the way from the United States to judge, to give his opinions on our work. Then I would also like to introduce Gemilevskaya Yana, who is the tourism manager in the local tourism company called Dialog Narodov, who also gonna be a judge for this event. And also I'd like to introduce Ryabova Tatiana, who is going to represent Tourist Information Center in this case, and who will also be a judge for the event. So with this, I guess with this all figured out, I would like to actually to give the floor for our first presenter, for our first participant, and this is going to be Kirilenko Lyudmila, and she's gonna talk about virtual tour around our city, which is Vladivostok in this case. So Lyudmila, if you are ready, you can share your screen, and we are ready for your presentation. And once again, just a quick reminder to get this out of the way. We do have some judgment criteria which we provided to all the participants, and for this event we're gonna set the time limit for 10 minutes. This is actually one of the points which can get you some of the points reduced if you don't really respect those time limits. So make sure to double check on that. So Lyudmila, if you're ready, we are more than ready to listen to your speech.
Yes, I'm ready. Good afternoon to everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, fine. So let's start my presentation. My name is Kirilenko Lyudmila. I'm student of Faculty of Tourism, third year. Today I will talk about 7 wonders of Vladivostok. So in introduction, I want to say wonder is nourishment for the soul. We are the only creatures on earth, as far as we know, that can be moved to tears by a sunset that marvels at the stars at night, that feels awe and humility at the achievements of our past. Wonder defines us as human beings. Of the original 7 wonders of the world, only the great pyramids of Giza remain. The hanging gardens of Babylon, the lighthouse of Alexandria, the temple of Artemis, the colossus of Rhodes have all faded to dust and memory. These, instead, are 7 wonders for our time. The real magic of wonder is not in the thing itself, but in the fact that the more you looking for wonder in the world, the more the wonder becomes a part of you. Our Vladivostok has its own wonders. Vladivostok is an amazing mix of Europe and Asia, so it's the best place to enjoy a mixture of such opposite cultures. European architecture, art galleries, some buildings are very similar to the world-famous attractions of the world. So welcome to our excursion around the city. Let's find all well-known wonders together. So Lighthouse of Alexandria. The Lighthouse of Alexandria, sometimes called the Pharos of Alexandria, was a lighthouse built by the Ptolemaic Kingdom during the reign of Ptolemy II Philadelphus, which has been estimated to be at least 100 meters in overall height. One of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, for many centuries it was one of the tallest man-made structures in the world. The lighthouse was severely damaged by 3 earthquakes between and became an abandoned ruin. It was the 3rd longest surviving ancient wonder until AD 1480, when the last of its remnant stones were used to build the citadel of Quaid Bay on the site. The most popular lighthouse in Primorsky is Tokarsky Lighthouse. One of Vladivostok's main attractions is a lighthouse perched on a rocky Tokarsky Spit. The end of the world is a place to go for both visitors and locals. It is a vantage point that shows where the land ends and the Pacific Ocean begins. Every Vladivostok resident has at least one self-portrait with the Tokarsky Lighthouse in the background. Vladivostok's Big Ben. Big Ben is a nickname for the great bell of the striking clock at the north end of the Palace of Westminster in London, and is usually extended to refer to both the clock and the clock tower. The official name of the tower in which Big Ben is located was originally the Clock Tower, but it was renamed by Elizabeth Tower in 2012. There is a large clock tower in Vladivostok on Ocean Avenue 13. Residents called it the local Big Ben. Every hour, the city center announces the chimes, the delicate mechanism of which regularly checks its readings with a satellite. Reconstruction of the facade of the building was completed in 2010. At the same time, a tower with a large street clock appeared on the corner of Ocean Avenue and Semyonovskaya. Golden Bridge. Golden Bridge in San Francisco. The Golden Gate Bridge is a suspension bridge spanning the Golden Gate 1 mile wide, straight connecting San Francisco Bay and the Pacific Ocean. The bridge is one of the most internationally recognized symbols of San Francisco, California, and the United States. It was initially designed by engineer Joseph Strauss in 1970. It has been declared one of the wonders of the modern world by the American Society of Civil Engineers. Golden Bridge in Vladivostok. For 100 years, Vladivostok residents have dreamed of a bridge, printing it on postcards and picturing it in their utopian plans. Finally, in the beginning of the 21st century, the federal government asked, "Do you want a bridge? How about 3 bridges? The first across Golden Horn Bay, the second leading across eastern Bosphorus Strait to Ruski Island, and the third across Amur Bay." The astonished city fell quiet in anticipation of a miracle. Before the bridge was built, the time it took to travel around Golden Horn Bay was about an hour and a half. Now it takes 5 minutes to drive from the city's center. Total length of bridge 1,388 meters. Little Las Vegas. Las Vegas, or simply Vegas, is the 28th most populated city in the United States. The city bills itself as the entertainment capital of the world, and is famous for its mega casino hotels and associated activities. It is a top 3 destination in the United States for business conventions and a global leader in the hospitality industry, claiming more AAA 5 Diamond hotels than any other city in the world. Today, Las Vegas annually ranks as one of the world's most visited tourist destinations. Vladivostok has its own Las Vegas. There are 4 officially established gambling zones in Russia. The one is located in Primorsky near Vladivostok, integrated gambling zone. The luxurious Tiger the Crystal Hotel and Resort is the first casino, hotel, and entertainment complex in the integrated gambling zone, surrounded by picturesque hills and lake close to Pacific coast. Tiger the Crystal guests can experience unique entertainment facilities, luxurious interior, excellent service, and individual approach to every guest in the largest casino in Russia. The casino has a wide variety of games for the discerning player: blackjack, Russian poker, casino Texas, and American roulette. There is an exclusive premier gaming area for very special guests, with private lounge and bar. You may also try your luck in regular poker tournaments that traditionally take place in Tiger the Crystal Poker Club. A wide variety of slot machines will satisfy all avid players. Primorsky Oceanarium. Primorsky Oceanarium was opened in 2016. The first visitors were Russian President Vladimir Putin and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. The oceanarium takes the 3rd place in the world in size. Nearly 5 football fields are hidden in a building that resembles a slightly opened white clamshell. All aquariums contain the water around 15,000 cubic meters. There is a main tank with a 70 meters underwater tunnel in the left wing of the aquarium. In the right wing there is a dolphinarium with a pool arena and stands which can accommodate 800 spectators. The guests of Primorsky Oceanarium will be able to see wide-scale expositions that represent the idea about the birth of the universe, about the evolution of life in the ocean, as well as the modern diversity of life in unlimited and marine waters of our planet. Most of these exhibits are live. They will allow you to know about the life of the inhabitants in Russian seas, rivers, and lakes, in cold polar seas, as well as the inhabitants of big-witted northern fur seals and charming walrus. Animals, along with handlers, will surprise you with interesting and spectacular shows and will give you a lot of vivid impressions. The oceanarium will open for you the door to the wonderful world of the ocean. Vladivostok's GUM. Despite its years, Vladivostok has many ancient buildings that have historic value and attract each guest's attention without exception. Vladivostok GUM's luxurious fantasy building is rightly considered one of the most beautiful ones. This oldest trade facility, GUM is Russian abbreviation for main department store, in the Far East is located at city's historical center. It is a very valuable architectural monument, Vladivostok's recognized symbol and integral part of its history. GUM Old Courtyard in 2016 received a rebirth. The courtyard, one of the most beautiful buildings in the city of Vladivostok, the trading house Vladivostok GUM, after the global reconstruction, turned into a real street of entertainment. This is a favorite walking place for all citizens and tourists located in the heart of the sea capital. There are cafes, shops, hostel, and much more on the territory of the yak. Toyama Vladivostok Friendship Garden, the Japanese stone garden named after Yoshio Morimoto, which has another official name, Toyama Vladivostok Friendship Garden, can be said to be the only one in the Primorsky Krai which also contributes to the development of friendly relations between Japan and Russia. The stone garden combines all the elements of Japanese traditional landscape art. It is a culture of expressing the special attitude of the Japanese to nature, which is also typical for other types of Japanese art such as tea ceremony, ikebana, and calligraphy. I think that the Japanese stone garden, which is located on the territory of Vladivostok State University of Economic and Service, not only embodies Japanese art, but also reflects the symbiosis with the Russian culture. In conclusion, I want to say what Socrates said: wisdom begins in wonder. Art and science are born from it. Wonder is more than just a good feeling. It is a seed from which our greatest treasures grow. Explore, dream, and feed your spirit well. National Geographic has included Vladivostok in its top 10 of the most beautiful marine cities in the world. Thanks for listening. Do you have any questions?
All right, thanks a lot for your presentation. So just to clarify, just another thing to mention. So not only judges have the ability to have the option to answer questions. So in this case, participants could join this as well. So if any one of you has any questions, feel free to ask Ludmila. But how about I actually start myself, if you let me? So Ludmila, could you please tell me who is the target audience for this tour of yours?
Good question. I think my target audience is mostly visitors, not local people. Visitors age from 21 till 50. Why exactly this age? Because I have like casino in my excursion, so from 21. And we will walk a lot, and not many people after 50 can walk a lot by. So.
All right. Do you have many?
That's all.
Is it maybe targeted to local? Well, I mean, to any specific countries, or does it have any other peculiarities, or is it a general type of tour?
I think it's a general type of tour because in my excursion we have part of Asia and part of Europe. So excursion will be interested to Asian tourists and European tourists.
All right. And did you actually try to calculate how much time will it take to complete this tour, this excursion?
Yes, from 8 a.m. until 10 p.m. With lunch breaks and with coffee breaks, and it can last longer if you want to stay in casino, like longer.
All right. All right. Does anyone have questions to Ludmila to actually clarify any?
Yes, I'd like to
Yep. All right.
ask.
Ksenia.
Okay.
Ludmila, which place do you recommend to visit first?
Okay, I can say that I think that these 7 wonders, I cannot say that just one of this object is like most important than the others. So I highly recommend you to visit all 7 objects.
But what would be the first one? What would you start with? So is there a particular order?
I think Oceanarium, because it's too many people. If we will go there like in Indian, there will be too many people.
All right.
Thank you for your answer.
All right. I think Anastasia also had some question. If
Honestly, I had the same question.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, thank you, Ludmila, for answering.
You're welcome.
Well, unless there are no further questions, I guess we can proceed. So once again, thanks, Ludmila, and just a quick reminder. I would also like to take notice of the fact that this year the participation is really awesome for this event. So we have representatives from Moscow State Institute for Tourism Industry, named after Yuri Sienkiewicz. We have participants from Russian State University for the Humanities, Far Eastern State Transport University, Vladivostok State University of Economics and Service, Far Eastern Federal University, Lomonosov Moscow State University, and also a couple of Chinese universities, as well as the Swiss Business School for International Hotel and Tourism Management and Education. So this is quite an awesome event that we ended up setting up, guys. So once again, thank you for participation. And this time around, I would like to offer the floor. Let's put it this way, to the members of the team representing Russian state universities for the humanities. So this is quite a big team. So I'd like to invite Иванинская Алена, Захаренкова Анастасия, Бетченко Софья, Зинчева Елизавета, Орлов Артем, Прокопенко Ксения и Рачкова Мария. So secret sites of Moscow.
Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you just perfectly fine.
Okay. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. It's a great honor for us to be invited to participate in this conference, and we are pleased to welcome all participants here. For those who don't know us already, we are a team from the Russian State University for Humanities, Moscow, and here at the Modern Model of Tourist Development East and West Conference, we're responsible for presenting our Secret Sites of Moscow project. On behalf of our team, may I welcome you to watch the presentation. We have divided our talk into three main parts: the theoretical part, practical one, and conclusion. Our presentation will take around 10 minutes, and we'll be happy to answer your questions at the end. Thus, we would like to begin by looking at this third slide. Let's try to guess. What associations do people have with the word Moscow? How do Muscovites see Moscow? And how do tourists from other countries or residents of other cities in Russia see it? Well, a lot of people are likely to think of such things as the Moscow Kremlin, Red Square, the Tretьяков Art Gallery, Spasskaya Tavern. Undoubtedly, all these elements are the main attractions of the capital of Russia.
However, Moscow is not just a square or the Kremlin. Moscow is an endless interweaving of picturesque streets and large, lit, wide avenues, a plex of cozy, quiet country yards, and monumental squares. All these cultural places are made in different architectural styles, have their own history, and of course, are an integral part of Moscow's cultural heritage.
Before starting our research, we settle the main objectives of our study. All in all, there are three main goals in it. Firstly, while working on this project, it was crucial for us to examine and evaluate an existing situation, problems, and significantly improve aspects of tourism sector in Moscow. Secondly, to find out appropriate solutions to the problems, as well as explain new idea. Finally, based on the results obtained, to design a new product.
Let's move to the following slide. A further part of our presentation is devoted to the issue of the importance of the research topic. Firstly, we believe that the identification of prospects on tourism sector thriving in Moscow is a long-term issue that has to be seen from various sides. That's why it should be highlighted. Secondly, the development of new attractive city tour routes will refresh the perception of Moscow as a cultural and tourist center. In addition, the assessment of the online network place takes the leading part in the internet tourist communication currently, that makes Moscow much more appealing place to discover. Taking all the above said into consideration, we ought to reveal our thesis by following tasks on the next slide.
The aim of our work is to promote Moscow's attractions by creating a new tourist route. To achieve this, we set a number of tasks. Firstly, to make analysis of theoretical sources devoted to tourism in Moscow. Then, conduct a survey among people of different ages. To define the concept Moscow Unknown. To develop a walking route through the most unknown locations in Moscow. And finally, to create an Instagram account to promote the results of the research. Now, we'd like to draw attention to the next point.
We conducted a social survey, which was attended by about 250 people of different ages, and I'll go into this in more detail in a moment. Have a look at the pie chart on the left, presenting how often people make cultural trips around Moscow. Overall, the most obvious trend on the graph is that the majority of citizens or guests of the capital lead culturally active lifestyle, and they compose around 95% of the total number. In our survey, people have been questioned whether they are familiar with the attraction below and its history or not. If you look at the following diagram, you will see that a dramatically small number of people know about these sites. They constitute only 10% of the total audience. Let's turn now to the pie chart at the next slide, performing whether people have seen some information in any sources about these sites or not. As it can be seen from the figure, slightly more than 60% of interviewers haven't met any article or website dedicated to these cultural places. Now let's have a look at the model on the right. The bar chart presents the popularity of information sources between respondents. It shows Instagram is at the first place and accounts for 40% of the total. To conclude all the things I said before, we can claim that although the participants of the inquiry to one degree or another often travel around the center of Russia, they are not acquainted with significant cultural places. Here we can see an important problem of unpopularity of cultural heritage places in the Russian tourism sphere, caused by the lack of their promotion. I ask you, is this reasonable? Is this good tourism practice? Is this what the guest of Moscow expects? A lot of foreigners and people from other regions of Russia have seen the main sites of the center, and they expect to find out something new. So how can we improve this situation? The way out is modern world, modern solutions. In particular, the idea based on the statistics contained in the diagram is to create a pedestrian quest on interesting but little known sites for tourists and Instagram account. Finally, it's topical, interesting, and educational.
Thus, it will help to preserve the cultural heritage of the center of Moscow, not only in fact, but also in the memory of the population. The relevance of the theoretical part of our work lies in using old methods in completely new realities. Both text and visual images were used in the survey to create the most realistic situation. The theoretical significance of the work is that the statistical data collected in this research can point people working in the field of tourism to the origins of the problem and thus to a specific solution, and can be used for further study of this problematic issue. Therefore, it may encourage the creation of a broader source base linked with this issue, since the theme is relevant.
The relevance of our practical part lies in the harmonious combination of the visual and theoretical part in the Instagram account and the practical part in the pedestrian quest. The two components of our practical part complement each other, allow Moscovits and guests of the capital to get acquainted with the necessary information in the social network and independently use the route of our quest.
The practical significance of our work is that both the materials of this research and statistical data can be used in the tourism sector. The relevance of the practical part is despite the fact that these cultural places can be something fundamentally new for many people. Their development and popularization can increase the level of tourist business in Moscow. No one will argue that we are used to seeing the Russian capital as a bustling city with noisy streets and squares, but there are lots of interesting places that remain to be uncrowded. We've created the pedestrian tour around these places. In fact, it's optimized for 1.5 hours, however, because of limited time of the presentation, we are going to demonstrate only the little part of it. Our team have chosen for you the most beautiful and unusual attractions. We are proud to be your guides during that tour today. I hope you are ready to go on a trip to exciting but unknown Moscow. Okay, let's start. Just imagine, you are in the center of Russia and you are doing a really exciting pedestrian quest around Moscow. The only thing you need to enjoy it is your gadget. You activate the quest and get the following. Congratulations on successfully activating your adventure. Чистые пруды metro station. Go to Мясницкая Street, then go towards Lubyanka metro station. Can you see a richly decorated building in a Chinese style? How many bells decorated stop? If you can give the right answer, you will get 2 tips. After that, you receive interesting facts about the landmark. Here you can see the building designed in a Chinese style in Мясницкая Street, belonging to the family of tea magnates. By the way, the bells are traditionally placed according to the sides of the world as on a compass. Then you will continue to follow the directions sent on your phone to solve riddles and answer the questions.
On the next slide you can see the one of the points of our quest. It's a house richly decorated with floral ornaments in the apartment building of the Trinity Church on Grazi. The site was designed with fabulous beasts by Vashkov in the style of bas-reliefs. As well as that, a few years ago, a door was made, an unusual staircase with also a stage to it. And now you can observe one of the oldest Lutheran parishes in Russia, called Evangelical Lutheran Cathedral of St. Peter and Paul. It's designed in the Gothic style, and it's one of 2 active official Lutheran churches in Moscow, along with the Holy Trinity Church, situated on the territory of Vedensky Kirkars. We hope you enjoy our little excursion around sacred sites, and maybe, when you decide to go to Moscow, you will walk around to the center of non-Moscow and you see cultural places.
As you can see, this virtual tour is an interactive form of pedestrian quest with the elements of quiz. It was successfully appropriated on the WhatsApp networking platform on 26th of February and the 5th of March by first-year students of the Russian State University for the Humanities. Later, we are planning the creation of an app for the convenience of completing the quest, with more routes around not very popular but exciting Moscow sites.
For developing of research and for the dissemination our ideas, we have created Instagram account. Its name is sites.of.moscow. Each post describes cultural places in Russian and English, and we specify the geolocation of each cultural place. Each post is provided with beautiful, informative photos. On our page there is order, logic, and conciseness. We plan to develop our Instagram after the contest, as we consider it our mission to open new cultural places for people. That's all for now. Thank you for listening to us and being interested in our project. Please don't hesitate to ask any questions if you have ones.
All right, thanks a lot for your presentation. Anyone has any questions ready? Or should I start? All right, how about I just start while other participants are still will digesting and trying to think of a specific question. Could you please just clarify? So there was a good introduction about the way about your way of thinking, why we need this kind of excursion, why we need this kind of tour. But could you please specify the whole process of choosing one object over another? So did you actually have to maybe not include some of the object because of one thing or because of some other reasons? Or what was how did the process go in this regard? How did you end up with these particular objects to include for your tour?
Does anyone want to answer from our team? Maybe I can start.
Okay. It's actually a good thing that you have so many people, so you can.
Okay, I guess we have so many objects, and we don't choose overall because every object is very difficult to choose, and our solution is visit them all, actually, because church or maybe another church is a part of our culture, like Russian culture, and Lutheran church is also a part of our culture because we are all of different religions. You feel me? I guess it's one of the answers. Maybe one of our participants may answer too, because we all have different points of view. Okay, you guys.
How about answer? I start from the different angle, for example. How about, well, at the very end of your presentation, you actually shared that you have some big plans ahead of you, and you actually want to improve your app, and you also thinking about some other tours, some other excursions. Do you have anything specific in this regard? Well, maybe just a couple of thoughts. What will be your next maybe excursion? What parts of Moscow culture you would like to focus on in the future? Or maybe what parts of the town or something in this regard?
Can I answer to this question?
Sure.
I think that summer we are planning to go around Moscow and choose the most interesting sites for the next quest. And maybe these sites will be some universities, maybe our university, because I think it is very interesting place, and it has many filials all there around Moscow. And this is our next aim and goal.
Could you just please quickly remind me?
That's all, or maybe.
Could you just please quickly remind me?
Sorry.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Let me check that I understand you correctly. What are you asking?
You just had this particular sentence that you're planning to keep on with your work and to maybe offer some new routes. So I was just kind of curious, what would be some maybe new direction for your further research in this regards? What could be some other niches that you could you could offer to tourists who want to explore a less known Moscow? Let's call it this way. Just a couple of insights of what you're planning for the future.
Okay, as well as that, as well as universities, we are planning to create a quest around the modern sites. Maybe you know, in Moscow there is a lot of places as art play. This is a place in the center of Moscow where that contained all the excursions, all the interactive places, and we are going to create a quest around these unusual sites.
How about just a random question? So, who's going to be the guide on this excursion? Would it require you to actually be the guide for the excursion, or do you think someone else could be able to, could have some knowledge to? And what would be I know it wasn't a task probably, but how expensive would your excursion would be? How do you think?
Can I answer?
Sure.
Actually, we think that the excursion will be free because
all right.
You will be a guide for yourself.
Oh, okay.
Because we are planning to create an app,
right.
And this app will be absolutely free.
Right.
So it's free and fun to go for different sites of Moscow. And also, I'd like to add about some objects.
Mm-hmm.
We could add a little bit of nature sites of Moscow because there are a lot of magnificent parks around there. For example, Tushino Park. So that's it.
All right, sounds good. So, any other questions? Well, I guess.
Sorry,
yes,
I just wanted to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, did anybody use this quest, or this is just a plane, or some people used it? I mean about your quest.
Okay, that's a very good question. I'm glad you asked that. Firstly, I have mentioned in the presentation that we have appropriated this quest among the other groups in our university. It was 3 groups, actually, if I remember. Yes, we appropriated it. And
also, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
That's all okay. I said what I want. You can answer.
You said what you said. Okay. There were a lot of our pictures in this presentation, so
yes,
you've seen it.
Yes.
Okay, just think that it's from from internet. Okay.
All right. So. I guess, thanks a lot. So we will proceed to the next presentation. And I would like to welcome Anastasia Sayets from the Moscow State Institute for Tourism Industry, named after Yuri Sienkiewicz, under the government of Moscow, to talk about cultural interaction between Japan and Russia as a way to increase the youth tourism flow. So if you're ready, you can start sharing your screen.
Yes. Yes, hello, can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you just fine.
Okay, thank you. And now I'll share my screen. Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. So, good morning, everyone, and my name is Anastasia, and I would like to present my work on the topic cultural interaction between Japan and Russia as a way to increase the youth tourist flow. As we know, the concept of youth tourism is defined as all types of tourism that are implemented by young people who are between 15 and 29 years old. The growing interest in youth tourism is becoming increasingly important and is also considered the most dynamic market of the global tourism industry, accounting for almost 20% of the 940 million international travelers. No matter what ups and downs Russian-Japanese relations have experienced, there have always been a strong link between two countries, and it is the link of cultures. Dozens of events are held annually in Russia and Japan as part of cultural exchange, opening up new opportunities for the people of the two countries to get to know each other better. So every year there are more and more opportunities to touch Japanese culture in different cities of Russia, exhibitions, seminars or concerts related to Japan and often held in Moscow or St. Petersburg. In 2018-19, the growth year of Russia in Japan and the year of Japan in Russia was successfully held. It had a great resonance both in media and among ordinary people who are interested in Japan. All this helped to increase the tourist flow, and the parties agreed to continue working together, in particular to promote Russian tourism opportunities in Japan and Japan in Russia. So, what are the examples of cultural dialogue between Russia and Japan? Of course, it's a film festival that was organized by Japanese embassy in Russia, in Yekaterinburg. It was attended by 1,700 people. Also, it's Japan's participation in the annual non-fiction book fair. It has already become a good tradition, and the Japanese stand is popular among visitors to the fair. It's also the second Russian-Japanese forum, Points of Contact, which was held in the last year. What I'd like to say, it's worth noting that every year Russia's cultural presence in Japan also strengthens its position. More and more Japanese people are showing interest in Russia, and most of Tokyo experts say that they have an impression that all the Japanese people have interest in Russia. The number of Japanese tourists who visited Russia in 2017 was 102,000 people. The key task for the near future is to expand the geography of travel of Japanese citizens in Russia and the range of tourist offers for guests from Japan. So, what places in Moscow will help Japanese tourists feel at home? Firstly, it's Japanese garden in the Botanical Garden of the Russian Academy of Science. It was engineered by Nakajima Ken, and it's located in the main botanical garden of the Russian Academy of Science. The miniature bridges, winding stone paths, and cliff shrubs, all done with uncharacteristic neatness and love for every inch of greenery. Secondly, it's Saizen restaurant in Moscow. It's hidden in the southwest of Moscow. It's not very popular, but the interior is given noticeably less attention than the kitchen. It turns out like in real Tokyo restaurants. For example, simple wooden tables, hot delicious portions. The emphasis here is on noodles and hot snacks that do not necessarily require fresh fish. Moreover, Japanese karaoke at the Corstone Hotel attracts a lot of Japanese students and tourists in Moscow. Here, the menu is only Korean or Japanese. You can find this place by ear according to Japanese songs that are usually performed under beer by students who came to study. Japanese House is a very unusual place in Moscow. Until recently, it was a modern office building on Savinskoye embankment, and it was called Japanese House. It was known mainly to businessmen and office tenants who valued Japanese comfort and color. But recently, the concept of the Japanese house has changed somewhat. Japanese cultural events and masterclasses are held in the conference halls, which you can see on the bottom of the picture below. Now you can go to language courses, learn classical painting and modern manga techniques. Uniqlo store. The appearance of Uniqlo in Atrium on Kurskaya Street in Moscow is probably the most high-profile appearance of a Japanese brand in Russia. Low-key but comfortable clothing, Uniqlo is really very popular in Japan, and the principle of don't stand out works. Of course, there are more than in Russia, which tends to show off, but it makes the Moscow store very Japanese in spirit. And the last but not the least, Gallery of Oriental Paintings. The exhibition presents 46 works in traditional styles of Chinese and Japanese paintings and their modern versions, and is a very popular place in Moscow. In conclusion, I would like to say that taking into account the number of objects of interest for Japanese tourists in Russian capital, it's necessary to distribute more information materials, increase number of cultural and tourist exchanges, come up with even more colorful events, and for a very different audience, show more films, arrange more exhibitions, and so on. Professionals should inform the tourist business more, conduct seminars, and invite them to study tours. That's the end of my presentation. If you have any questions, I would like to answer.
All right, thanks a lot. Guys, any questions, or should I start?
Can I answer?
Yeah.
Oi, I'm sorry.
All right.
Can I ask a question? I'm
Sure,
so
sure,
sorry.
sure.
Have you ever been to Japan? Or if not,
No,
would
I
you like to
haven't
go
been to Japan.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, of course.
Do you like Uniqlo store or not?
Yes, I prefer it.
All right. How about I ask some?
Can I?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Sorry, in your opinion, what we have to improve in Moscow to invite a lot of people, Japanese people? Maybe some not
I
very
think
so good. Yes.
if you're asking about the most effective way to attract Japanese tourists, I suppose it's of course the cheaper price and the easier tourist formalities and of course some great global performances, exhibitions, and so on.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Could I answer just?
Thank you for your question.
Could I answer? Could I ask one question as well? So I could answer one question as well
Yes,
if
yes.
you ask me. But either way, so basically most of the places which you displayed on your presentation, they are more or less relevant to Japanese culture itself, right? So these are the places which would be familiar to Japanese people. But could you please just enlighten, could you just tell me and tell all of us how interested are actually Japanese people in discovering Russian culture, and what would be probably some of the objects, some of the places which would you recommend to show to the Japanese people when they, for example, visit Moscow, to actually to get them familiarized with the Russian culture, not maybe as familiar to them.
If you're asking about experience of Russian culture for Japanese, as I understood you correctly, there are lots of exhibitions of like Russian and USSR achievements in Russia for the same Vladivostok station and exhibition, and of course Russian architecture, which is displayed everywhere in Moscow. So in this presentation, I just would like to show that Japanese tourists can go to Moscow and feel like at home.
All right.
Of course, there are numerous establishments of Russian culture centers and museums. But this is like more project on feeling like at home.
All right. But just a sidestep. Could you just please tell us how open are they to actually discovering their culture, or if they travel, do they actually prefer feeling more like feeling at home, or would they rather prefer Russian cuisine or Japanese cuisine if they travel to Russia, to Moscow?
Okay, well, I've read some experts' opinions on the Japanese tourists in Russia, and most of them said that Japanese are very interested in Russian culture and cuisine, but it's not obligatory. For example, if they, as all tourists from Asia in Europe or from Europe in Asia, they prefer to explore other cultures, but sometimes in unfamiliar country, they prefer to eat some familiar cuisine and go to the places where they can be understood, for example, where somebody can help them, and so on. Of course, there are many tourists, Japanese tourists, who go to like Russian museums, galleries, for example, Tretyakovsky Gallery and Kremlin, and Russian Metro, of course. But in case if they need some help, if they need some familiar cuisine, as for example Japanese students or workers in Russia, these places can help.
All right, and could you just tell really quickly, based on just your own personal opinion maybe, and maybe based on some of the data research and some of the expert opinions which you've mentioned, how significant is actually the Japanese tourist flow for Moscow? So is it actually rising? Is it getting somewhat more significant? Well, at least has it been rising up to this point?
Yes, it has been rising from, for example, 2017 to 2019. It has been rising a lot, 10% or 15%, as far as I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the situation nowadays is very difficult to associate somehow, but yeah, there was a rise, and the rise of Asian tourists, of course, Chinese and Japanese. Yes, it's very significant.
All right. Any other questions? I guess not. Thanks a lot. Thanks for your presentation, and let's proceed. So I would like to welcome our guest from Shanxi Polytechnic Institute now. So we have two reports. One is going to be from Liu Yuanjian, and one is going to be from Huang Zhihan. So guys, if you're ready, I would like to invite you to actually share the screen. How about we just scroll down to see? He could be absent or something. All right. How about we then proceed with our next contestant from Vladivostok State University of Economics and Service. So Anastasia Korostyleva, if you're ready.
Yes, I'm ready.
All
Hello,
right.
everybody.
All right.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
这不是我一个例会啊。
All right, guys from Shanxi Polytechnic Institute. So you're gonna be up next. So in about 10 to 15 minutes. All right, Anastasia.
Can I start? Thank you. My name is Anastasia. I am a third-year Bachelor of Tourism student, and I would like to show my presentation, which calls Cinematic Vladivostok. The relevance of this report is a necessity of the increase in the interest of tourists in domestic tourism. This tour will be interesting for adults and elderly people, locals, and non-residents. Also, it will be a really informative tour for a foreign tourist. As we know, in 2019, some 780,000 foreign tourists visited the region. We have explored the offers in the local market, and this tour is a unique product. The city of Vladivostok has always been friendly in the world of cinema art. You need to realize that the era of cinema art started here 2 years after the first film screening was held in the world. So the tour plan is, first is cinema theaters of Vladivostok, Ussuri and Ocean, cinema events in Vladivostok, and Vladivostok as a movie set. Excursion duration is 2 hours 30 minutes. A little bit about history. In July 1st, 1897, hundreds of people came to the square near the Vladivostok Dam. For the first time, they could see live pictures. That's how cinematography came to a small developing port. In 1906-1907, cinematography of Vladivostok was born for the second time. Several cinemas opened. Most of them were located on Svetlanskaya Street. So in total, there were 16 cinemas. Ussuri cinema. We can call this one a lone lever among all the cinemas of Vladivostok. Its constructions began in 1914. For a long time, the cinema wasn't completed, and only by 1927 it was open. And also, you can see on the picture old buffet on the cinema. Ocean Cinema. The opening of the Ocean Cinema took place on January 18, 1969. The first movie shown was for the builders of Unit Cinema. Starting on January 22, 1969, film screening at the Ocean Cinema began to be held regularly. In the early 19th, film distribution collapsed in the country, and Ocean was no exception, and also stopped its work. Nowadays, the Ocean is the main cinema attraction of the city. A little bit about cinema events. Pacific Meridian is the annual international film festival of the Asia-Pacific countries, established in 2003. The festival is held annually in early autumn in Vladivostok, on the shores of the Sea of Japan. Every year, this event attracts thousands of people because the main task of the organizers of the festival is to provide access to movies for the audience. The slogan of the festival is Cinema for All, Cinema for Everyone. Vladivostok is a movie set. The film In the Hood, directed by Olga Zuyeva, was shot in Vladivostok in September 2016. The film was released on October 4, 2018. Well, the tour name is Cinematography of Old Vladivostok. And here is the walking tour program. Meeting with the guide in the central square is Rostov Revolution Square. We will go through the city with an inspection of ancient buildings where the first cinemas of our city were located. The road runs from the marine station through the historical center of Vladivostok. We will have 5 stops on the road, and it ends at the street. At the end of the tour, the buildings of the Museum of the City will showcase unique silent films. The tour cost is 700 rubles, and it included tour guide services, film screening, and as I said, excursion duration is 2 hours 30 minutes. So the result of our work is an interesting, informative, and brand new 3-hour tour with access to the world of Vladivostok cinematography. The tourist will have an opportunity to meet historical and modern part of Vladivostok cinema life. And here you can see the link that I was using. Thank you for watching. I would like to answer your questions if you have any.
All right, thanks a lot for your presentation. So, guys, anyone has any questions available, or should I start?
Yes.
All right.
Can I ask you?
Yes, of course.
Have you ever taken part in Pacific Meridian Festival?
Unfortunately, I didn't, but it's one of my dreams. I would love to.
I understand.
All right, could I just ask really quickly? So why do you think the whole focus on showing like the cinematic part of the city could be viable, could be interesting for tourists? Why did you decide to focus on this particular aspect of the town's life? Let's call it this way.
Okay. Thank you for your question. I think it would be interesting because, first of all, it has a huge historical part. There is a lot of things that we can show, And as it's a walking tour, you also can see just the city. It's not just about the cinemas, it's about the city too. So I think it would be interesting, and not only for foreign tourists, for locals too.
Yep. All right.
Does anyone has any more questions?
Well,
Actually, I have one.
Go ahead, go ahead.
How do you think, does Vladivostok have a future as a cinema set?
That's a good one question, and I think yes, because Vladivostok has a lot of places which are very beautiful, and yeah, I think so. And I would like if Vladivostok would be very popular, like a place for shooting films. It would be great.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
All right. Could I also just ask another question? Just based on the research which you've done so far, still, who do you think would be the target audience? You kind of somewhat answered this question already, but still, could you just specify and focus this a little more? And what could be probably some of the ways to promote this tour if you really want to show this to people and to actually make it famous and popular?
Okay, so the first part of your question is about tourists, and I didn't say the countries. I think it's mostly for Asians. First of all, because we have a lot of Asian tourists, and they like to take pictures a lot. They really do. So if they walk, they can do pictures of themselves, and they like to walk. So I think it would be interesting for them the most. And about how to make this tour popular, well, the Instagram would be fine, and I think some tour agencies could provide this tour.
Hey, I have a question.
Yeah, that's it. I'm here ready to answer.
Could your tour include television studios as part of the cinematography?
No, fortunately it's not, because Vladivostok doesn't have any. But if Vladivostok will have some, it will be great, and it will be a part of our tour. We're looking forward to this. It's a great opportunity for Vladivostok for the future.
All right. Well, I guess unless anyone has any questions available on top of their heads right now, thanks a lot for presentation. And
thank you, guys. Thank you.
We would like to invite our next contestant. So, guys, Shanxi Polytechnic Institute, are you ready? Could you just greet us? Could you just?
Yeah.
Yep, you are ready. All right, sounds great. So, feel free to share your screen, and let's jump to your presentations, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Tom, and I'm a second-year student at Shanxi Polytechnic Institute, studying business English. Today, I'd like to share with you some information about my hometown. Yeah. My presentation is in 4 parts: the history of the city, the natural scenery, and the food culture and the accommodation. The history of Xi'an city. Xi'an has a rich and culturally significant history. The Lantianmen was discovered in 1973 and dates back at least 500,000 years. And Xi'an is the start of the Silk Road, which stretches from Xi'an to Europe. And a new Silk Road has been created, which is called a Belt and Road Initiative, which will link once again China with the rest of the world. Xi'an is one of the only 4 cities in China which still retain its walls around the city, and has 4 gates north, east, south, and west. The walls are so thin that people can walk and cycle along to the top of the wall. As one would accept such an old city, Xi'an has an abundance of tourist sites and natural scenery. It has the largest Tang Dynasty pavilion-style brick tower in China, and this is called Dayan or Big Wild Ghost Pagoda. You can see from this slide, and some beautiful treasure. Yeah, you can see that. The Big Wild Ghost Pagoda is located in south of Xi'an, and each night is in the square there is a water and music show for visiting tourists and local. Moving north, we can visit a bell tower, which is located in center of the city, and is a cross section of the 4 main streets. It is a Chinese-only existing bell tower and has a large bell which is struck to warn the impending danger. Close to the bell tower is drum tower, and is one of the best kept drum tower building from ancient China. The tower is a representative of the Ming and Qing buildings of the city. There are many slides that the tourists can visit, including the History Museum and the Shanxi Museum. Yeah. Apart from the historical side of the city, there is also world-famous theoretical worries which were discovered by 3 farmers in 1974. Whilst digging for the water, 3 pins have been discovered to date. More than 8,000 warriors and horses has been put on display for the visitor. Life-size figures and horses show the intricate detail, and these were created to accompany Emperor on his final journey. Many things in China are big, but just think of this. In 202 BC, Emperor Liu Bang was a Han Dynasty established his capital in Chang'an, but he built across the river the Weiyang Palace, just north of modern-day Xi'an. It was the largest palace ever built on Earth, covering 4.8 square kilometers, which is 6.7 times the size of the currently Forbidden City, and 11 times the size of the Vatican City. No, that is a very big palace. Yeah, and the food culture. Every province has their own style of cuisine, and Shanxi is not different. However, because Xi'an is at the start of the Silk Road, it has become a center of the many different cultures. And ethnic groupings, food is very important element in the life of the Chinese, and some of the delicious food that one can try and enjoy, including biang biang mian, which is a traditional style noodles, 肉夹馍, which is a traditional Chinese hamburger, and for the tourists wandering around the city. 羊肉泡 which is flat bread soaked and in lamb soup. There is as well food street which is called Muslim street, where one can taste all the delicious dishes from the whole people. Accommodation. Yeah. Accommodation is planned for in Xi'an and range from 5-star hotels in and around the city center, 3 or 4-star hotels in the suburb, family-style hotel and hotels for the younger tourist who is limited by their budget. Xi'an is not only ancient city with history stretching back thousands of years, but is also very modern. Getting around the city is relatively easy. There is a metro on the railway system, buses and taxi, e-bike and bike, as well as able to walk to many of these tourist sites for your hotel. It may not have a glamour of Beijing and Shanghai, but it has class and culture in abundance. And just think of this. When in 1949, its decision to choose the capital of China was in process and of being made. It was between Beijing and Xi'an. No other city was in contention, and Beijing was chosen because of political consideration. Okay, that's all. Thank you for allowing me to give the presentation today. I hope that someday you will be able to visit Xi'an.
All right, thank you so much. Guys, any questions? How about I actually start myself? So, how about you answer the question? How many tourists are there in Xi'an in general? So like every year. So what would be the exact, or maybe, well, not exact number, but is it like 1 million, 2 million tourists, or 10,000 tourists a year? How many tourists are there? And what tourists are there? So are there mainly tourists from China or from foreign countries, and from what foreign countries? All right. Can you hear us? I could be buffering as well.
We can hear you. Yes.
All
Okay.
right. All right.
Yep. No problem.
Yeah. So just how many tourists are are there lots of tourists? Are there many?
100,000.
Not so many.
100,000.
All right. So that's
Yeah.
quite an impressive number. And are there mainly Chinese, or are there foreigners, or are there like 50% of Chinese, 50% of foreigners?
Many China and China.
All right.
Again. Artem, did you hear that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a little well, not too loud, let's put it this way, but I can hear it. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay, he said they're mainly from Europe and China.
Oh, okay. Mainly from Europe and China. All right. Guys, any questions? What would you like to ask about?
So is there a metro to tour in the city to get to these places? The clock and the drum tower and the terracottas?
What is that? Could you please repeat the question?
Is there like a metro transportation to get to the various sites, like
Yes.
the clock and the drum towers?
So do you
the
have to go
terracottas?
by bus or by?
Yes, of course.
Yes, of course. There is a metro. There is a new metro system within Xi'an. Started with just 1 or 2 lines, and now they're going to aim for 9. They've completed 4 at the moment. and the centre of Xi'an, they have the different stations coming into there, the different lines coming into there. So it's very easy to get to any of the sites within the city centre.
All right, that sounds great. Well, I guess we are ready for the next presentation of yours then. All right, the screen is okay, I guess.
There's a screen. Sushi has a PPT.
All right, I guess you just need to press the escape button first to end the slideshow.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, looks great.
Okay. Good afternoon, and thank you for letting me give a presentation on Longshan County in Shanxi Province, which is my hometown. My name is Terry, and I'm a second-year student studying Business English at Shanxi Polytechnic Institute. My presentation is in 4 parts. Part 1, History of Longshan County. Part 2, Folk culture within Longshan County. Part 3, Local tourist attractions. And Part 4, Local specialities. Longshan is an ancient county town with several thousand years of history. It is the first station of the ancient Silk Road, and it's to the west of Chang'an. The county not only has beautiful scenery, but it has a climate that is not too cold in winter and not too hot in summer. It has a very good ecological environment with about 60% of the area covered in forests, and it has 49 rivers. It is known as the fourth seat of Guangzhou and is an important ecological barrier in the western part of the province and a water conservation seat for Boji City. There is an abundance of local attractions developed over many hundreds of years, and this includes Yangbu folk dancing. This folk dancing originated from agricultural labor and has a long history. The main purpose of this festival is to add a festive atmosphere to the performance, free dancing where movement is not strictly controlled. When a new business is opened, people will invite the Yangbu dancing team to perform so that their business will thrive in the next year. Shehuo is representative of folk cultures in my hometown. People through playing shehuo or watching shehuo can express the joy of the year's harvest, showing the spiritual morale of the massive visual praying for good weather the following year and expressing people's happiness, peace, and prosperity. Now, this slide shows the Liu Mu Tui Shehuo. This is the most challenging of all shehuo performances. The performance is to balance on stilts and keep walking in order not to fall down. And in this slide, a performer sticks an eggshell on their face. In this year's fight against the coronavirus pandemic, shehuo from Longshan County were praised for their humorous ways in which they encourage the people to stay in their homes and not to venture outside. Longshan embroidery has a long history of more than 1,000 years. This traditional craft has been part of the local culture since time began, and almost everyone can do embroidery. The design is exaggerated, and the work is very fine, earthy, and rich, with each needle thread mirroring the inner thoughts and feelings of the embroiderer. Here are some pictures of some embroidery. Guangshan is the only provincial scenic spot in northwest China that has European-style features and an alpine meadow. It has a AA level scenic spot rating, and the local area is full of natural landscapes, including forests, grasslands, rivers, mountains, and valleys. In fact, it has every type of countryside you could wish for, all in one place. It is simple yet spectacular. The herdsmen on the grassland are content and naturally giving of themselves. Here, we have slides of recreational activities that are conducted on the grassland. Strap, grass skinning, horses battle, and campfire party. Here, you can see from this video that shows two different landscapes of grassland, and I'm sure that you will be surprised and amazed with natural beauty of the local area. Taoism is an indigenous religion in China with a history stretching back for more than 1,000 years. The birthplace of Taoism is Longshan and is closely associated with Chinese native culture. It is deeply rooted with Chinese society, and it has distinctive Chinese characteristics. It has a profound impact on all aspects of Chinese culture. There are often sacrificial offerings to pray for good weather and prosperity. The special part of this religion is that all temples are built halfway up the mountain. Because in ancient Shanxi province, many residents lived in caves which built halfway up the mountain. The last part of my presentation covers local specialties, food. There are many specialties in my hometown, and these include tobacco, dried mushrooms, and honey are the most famous processed foods. Processed noodles are a kind of food that looks like noodles, but they are not. They taste good and are chewy and have a tangy fragrance. They are very popular. This cake is called house hoof cake because it looks like a house hoof. And tofu pudding bread and soup with mutton and bread pieces in the soup are called twins because they are the same kind of food. The use recipe, they use the same ingredients with the only difference being one has meat and the other just vegetables. Longshan dishes have a long history, and carrots, spinach, and other common vegetables are used daily because in ancient times, poor people could only afford these common vegetables. But these are perfect in color, aroma, and taste, so it is currently used extensively in local cuisine. So this is the end of my presentation, which I hope you liked. Please take very good care and stay safe and well. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Guys, do you have any questions?
Well, good question. Thank you for your presentation very much. Well, in your presentation, you've mentioned about grass skiing as an activity. To tell the truth, I've never heard about it. So, is grass skiing popular in Xi'an? Is it maybe in, like a national sport or something like that? No.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat the type of sport
Well,
that you
grass
mentioned?
skiing. Yeah, sure. Grass skiing as an activity in Xi'an. I haven't heard about it, so I'd like to ask, is grass skiing is popular in Xi'an?
So grass skiing. So when you slide from
grass.
Yeah, using the grass.
Skiing. I'm sorry. I thought you said something about rice.
No.
No. Grass skiing.
Grass. Okay. Grass skiing.
Grass skiing is that
grass skiing.
Yeah, grass skiing. That like you skiing on the grassland from the hop away up the mountain and to the foot of the mountain, like that.
Is it really popular in your place? Could you call it like everybody does eventual grass skiing like on Monday or on Tuesday, or is it like just something that tourists would like to do?
It's a tourist. It's a tourist thing.
All right. Okay.
No, it's a tourist thing.
All right. So not a national sport. Okay. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Can
guys?
I ask? Excuse me. Yes. Can I ask? What do you think? What is the best season for visiting this place?
Yep, that's a good question.
Yes, the best season.
Maybe I recommend spring.
Spring and why?
Because in summer maybe you feel hot, and in winter maybe it's a little cold for you. And spring they have a beautiful landscape, and all flowers are blossom, and especially on the grassland, and all the grass are very green, and you can read the house, enjoy toaster mutton, and enjoy many delicious food in spring.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is the folk culture seasonal, or is it always available? You show different dances.
Sorry, could you repeat your question?
The folk culture, you showed different dances and different types. Are those seasonal, or are they available all year?
Yes, it's available all year. because young folk dancing, when a new business is open, they will invite young folk dancing to perform so that their business will thrive in the next year. This is the implication of the young folk dancing.
No, okay. Well, I guess if there are no other questions, then once again, thanks a lot for your presentation, and we will proceed to the final report for today. So I would like to. Do you have a question? Oh, okay. So I would like to invite our final participant for today, Wang Shuhan. So if you are ready, you can start sharing your screen.
Yes, I'm already.
All right.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yep, we can hear you.
能把共享屏幕关一下吗？
All right. Can you actually share the screen, or do you have some maybe internet problems, connection problems?
I can't share my screen.
You cannot share your screen. All right.
哎，麻烦等一下啊，我们这边电脑死机了。
Our computer is died, so just.
Well, I guess we could give it another go, and if it doesn't work, I guess we can just. Oh, okay, that looks like it's alive at this point. All right. All right, here we go. We can see it. Awesome.
Hello everybody, my name is Wang Shuhan. Today I'm going to talk about new trends in youth tourism. Youth tourism is an important part of international tourism. Data from the World Tourism Organization shows that youth tourists from 15 to 29 years old account for 23% of the total population of the world. Young people actively explore new destinations. They take part in cultural exchange. Tourism is a special thing for them. Because of the 23% of total international tourist trips are from youth tourists, UNWTO forecasted that by the end of 2020, it was reached to 370 million trips with total spending of over $400 billion. You can compare this to some other numbers. It is said that young people in general are rich in ideas, plans, and hopes, but not in financial resources. But actually, the average expenditure on a trip in this category is twice the average cost of trips for international tourists in general. It's because young people have free time for long trips. After the end of pandemic, youth tourism can continue to grow. Main reasons here, I think, are credit availability, technology development. Also, it is important that for nearly 70% of travelers in this segment, the purpose of their travel is to learn a language, to study, work, to volunteer. So we need to focus on a few things here. Volunteer tourism. The destination itself is very important. Also important is the nature of the volunteer program. The most popular programs for young people are programs related to event and environmental projects, backpacking, An important factor here was great price for transportation and the growth of incomes. Today, the desire to get a unique experience will provide help. Educational youth tourism. Previously, it was more influenced by such factors as the overall level of socio-economic development, the availability of landmarks. Now, epidemiological background will also be very important. Language tourism. There is a growing interest in professional vocabulary now. Other languages have also been popular recently. Work and travel. In this case, young people earn some money. This helps them to discover the country they visit. Some other forms of entertainment tourism have been popular before the pandemic situation broke down. Here we can mention literary tourism as well as film tourism. Adventure tourism is getting popular among young people. New experiences is something that is harder to get online. Also, young people often cover certain niches that are not yet popular among the mass consumer. They make new forms of tourism and they discover new tourist destinations. Also, youth tourism attract other people to destinations. Also, the life culture of tourist product is quite long. About 50% of tourists in the category would like to return to their destination within 5 years. Of course, because of the pandemic, youth tourism is now on hold. However, it is up for young people to get tourism back on track. Below you can see my conclusion remarks. Thank you for listening.
All right, thank you. Unfortunately, just some slight technical problems. So if you're still online, if I'm not mistaken, your internet connection seems to be somewhat slow. Could you please try to share your screen once again and just to open the presentation without going to the full screen? Just once again, share your screen and just see if we can look at the presentation once again. If you can hear me, because I think your internet is a little bad. All right.
Can you see the screen?
No. Just exit the full screen. Exit the full screen. And just have it open without going to the full screen, without going to the display mode, without showing the presentation. Just open the text file itself. See if it works. If it doesn't, then I guess we will just ask a couple of questions just to clarify. All right. Yep. Just quickly scroll through the presentation. Just very quick. Just look at the first, second, third slide. Just go slide by slide. Just for us to quickly look at the presentation. All right. So could you just very briefly just once again tell us what are some of the forms of youth tourism which you focus on this presentation, and is it really interesting? Why youth tourism is an interesting option to develop? So what forms do you mention? And why do you think youth tourism is important? All right.
To look at my conclusions is it's already right here.
All right. So
Mm.
occupies an important niche, important parts of a destination. And what are the forms of youth tourism? Could you just open the slides once again? So, what forms of youth tourism do you cover in your presentation? All right, educational,
Educational tourism and backpacking,
mm-hmm.
Work and travel,
All right,
volunteer tourism.
all right, all right. Sounds good. Do you have any question, guys?
Did you try some kind of this kind of tourism?
So yes.
Sorry, I don't.
You didn't. Well, I think you study in Moscow, right? So educational tourism seems like a kind of tourism which you are involved in, to be honest. So I guess we could qualify this as educational youth tourism. All right. Any other question, guys? Well, I guess it was quite a busy day for us. It was introduction. It was part 1 of our 2 days event. We did.
Artem.
Yep.
Sorry. I've just got something on the youth tourism. Can you hear me?
Yeah. We can hear you just fine.
Okay. Now, youth tourism is important because you're trying to capture the young who perhaps don't have enough money. But one of the things was languages, and there's the youth tourism includes languages. How long would the tour be? And I take it would be in the Russian language to learn the Russian language. But what about the cost and the length of the tour?
So what is it? How could you?
I was just thinking about how long would the tour last for and the cost.
You mean in general when we talk about youth tourism?
Yeah. Well, in general, but specifically for languages.
Oh, for the languages. Well, see, I don't know. How about we open this up? If it's not a specific question for our previous contestant or for me, we could open this up for the crowd. But all I can say that, for example, in Russia there is a specific law which actually formalizes what tourism is and what does it take for a trip to become a tourist trip. And there is actually a specific length period which it needs to actually satisfy. So it should not be less than X amount of days, and it should not exceed X amount of months. So I guess it should be something similar in other countries. So it should be something similar in China, I think. It should be something similar in the United States. So there are some formal regulations for what does it take for the trip to become a tourist trip, on a contrast to maybe some business trip or some, I don't know, some informal trip. But that would be my answer regarding Russia. So
that's no problem. Okay, thank you.
I think regarding a language opportunity. Obviously, you can have different times, but certainly for a tourist trip that would be reasonable for cost, many language programs are held within just 1 week. Of course, you can extend that to even more in depth and go like 6 weeks. But many language programs for youth are done on a 1 week basis in a foreign country.
Yep.
That's just I would that would just be a purely basic conversational to get someone around the country, just using very basic language skills, because you can't learn much in a week. I don't think so.
So you have to have that. You have to have some prior language, I think, to be able to use the local language. We did do a program with the Russian University to the United States for a 1 week, including the language as part of the program, and it was very reasonable, including transportation, accommodation, and meals.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So I guess that's pretty much wraps things up. It was an interesting first day, an interesting opening for our event. We did face some technical problems, but I guess we mostly managed to overcome those problems. So once again, I would like to thank all the participants, and I would like to once again address all of you and to ask if there's anything you'd like to maybe to discuss, to ask us as organizers, to ask any other participants. Or well, first of all, before I actually ask this question, just to get things out of the way. So those of you who actually presented your reports today, the end results will be still announced tomorrow. So sure enough, when we talk about judgment, we need to see the whole picture, and we cannot have any final conclusion up to this point. So those of you who will not be able to make it tomorrow, I guess our YouTube translation, our YouTube broadcast works all right, and we should be able to catch this up either at some conference at the time which would be well, good enough for us, or I could also probably download the file itself and distribute maybe to you guys in China. If you're interested, but other than that, the final results will be announced tomorrow. So I would like to ask you to be a little patient for that, I guess. And after this, I would once again like to ask anyone if there are any comments, any suggestions, any things we need to discuss before we actually end this first part of our event.
There's just one thing, Artem. Tomorrow I have classes all day, but what I'll do is I'll start my afternoon class early, and probably I can join you at about 3:30.
All right, sounds great. So once again, the actual records of the event should be saved and should be available. Just in case, but it would be more than, well, it would be awesome if you could, well, at least late join us. So 3:30 sounds like, well, Beijing time, 3:30 Beijing time sounds like it would be a good time for you to join. As good as any, let's put it this way.
Well, that's as good as any, yes, that's right. Because we've got first year back. They came back on Sunday, so I've got to.
Yeah. The schedule is somewhat hectic these days. So.
And got it, yeah. So I can rearrange things. Instead of starting at 2:40, I'll start at 1:30, and then I can get here back to my dormitory in time for about 3:30. No problem.
All right. Well, then I guess once again, thanks guys for your efforts in making this thing possible. So yep. Any other questions, suggestions, things we need to discuss for today?
I think you've developed some very fascinating ideas, and certainly there's some nice emphasis on the youth for tourism, especially when you were talking about perhaps the secret sites and the zip lining and the grass skiing and backpacking. Those are all fascinating ideas for youth tourism.
All right. Yep. That sure sounds like it. That's a nice nice thing to well, to take note of. Let's put it this way. So once again, as we said in the beginning. Yep.
Artem, just going on what Mark said. Actually, what would be a very good idea would be to put together a package that could be used in different countries. In other words, you have the same thing, say for youths, and you could develop it as a package that you could actually use in Russia, you could use in China, you could use across Asia or anywhere really. That might just be an idea.
That's fascinating because you could spend 1 year in each place and do your quote backpacking event, and you would know the details for it. Like you go to Machu Picchu one time, and maybe Appalachia another time, and the Pali coastline another time. Some beautiful hiking events, and you could do that, like you said, for each of these things. You could do zip lining the same way. I think you called it strap, but the zip lining.
We call it sort of in Australia and the UK we call it a flying fox. In America you call it zip lining, but it's the same thing. I mean, you know, these things that we could create would be very, very good, and that could be a very good package. And it's almost like a computer program. No matter where you are, you know exactly what you're going to do, but you just don't know what might happen. So you could have a general package and then, you know, just tailor it to the local area.
Absolutely. And then you've got, you know, kind of a central theme going, and you could do a theme, like you said, for all cultures, including even the secret sites theme. That would be, you know, something that could be applied to all the cultures.
Well, a secret theme around different cities would be wonderful, really. Because you just don't know what's going to happen. Artem, that's food for thought for you in the future.
Well, I mean, let's put it this way: it's a fruitful thing for all of us. So yeah, we sure should take note of this. And once again, so. These events, they should not be, well, just for the sake of them. So it's always great to have something that which we could take as some ideas that we or someone that is involved in this event, or someone that could use some of the ideas which were generated during this event. So yep, sure, that sounds like a way to go. Let's put it this way.
Okay, thank you.
Well, all right. Well, I guess we will wrap things up here. So once again, thanks guys for the event. Thanks for your efforts, and I guess we will see most of you tomorrow. And if you are sure you will not be able to make it tomorrow, just make sure to inform me, and we will see in what form should we deliver the results and deliver the content of the second day to you. So other than that, once again, thanks everyone, and we'll see you around.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye. See you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you so much.